Okay, in this question, we are given that prices of desktop computers in Abu Dhabi are normally distributed, nice, with mean is given here, 2,800 dirhams. So you can say here mu is 2,800, and standard deviation is given, it's 695 dirhams. So sigma is 695. And the question is the following. If a computer seller wants to target the middle 70% of buyers, so they want to target the middle 70% of buyers, we need to understand what this means. What should be, the question is, what should be the minimum price of the desktops that he sells? So let us draw the graph to understand this better, because we are given that it's normally distributed. You know that you'll have a normal distribution, so it will be a bell curve like this, and the mean is here in the middle, and we are given that the mean is 2,800, standard deviation is 695, and the computer seller wants to target the middle, read again, the middle 70% of buyers. So we want to make sure that we target an area in the middle that is exactly 70% of all of the area under the curve. So we want this area here, that's what the question means, the area in here to be 70% of the total area, which, 70% is 0.70 of the total area under the curve. So now the question is, what should be the minimum price of desktops that he sells? So what we need to find is this point here, the point here, the X, let's call it X0. We want to find the price, the smallest price of a desktop that the seller should use in order to target 70% of all consumers or buyers. So the question again is just find what is this X0. Since you have a normal distribution, we know that we can change this and use the standard normal distribution curve with the Z-scores. So what I'm going to do now is to draw another graph, but with the Z-scores now. So you have the standard normal curve like this, and of course the mean is here, it's 0, the mean for the standard normal curve, and the standard deviation is 1. Okay, and then you want to find the Z-score here, let's call it Z0. This will be the Z-score for X0. And we want it so that the area in the middle here is equal, area is 0.7 or 70%. So what is this Z0? This is the question now. Find Z0, and from Z0 you can get X0. I will just remind you of the formulas. So you remember, so let's put something here. So Z0, a Z-score for X0 is X0 minus mu over sigma. And so once we find Z0, how do you find X0? X0 is sigma times Z0 plus mu. Remember this formula, because our strategy now will be to find the Z-score Z0 here in this standard normal curve using the table, of course, and from Z0 we will find the minimum price X0 that we're after. Okay, so one thing that you should notice is look below X0. So let's use different color. So we'll use black for this area here below X0. What do you think this area is? You know that 70% is in the middle, and so how much of the area is outside? It will be 30% left, but the 30% will be both of them, this one and this one, the one above the maximum price, or the maximum Z-score in this case. So this means that the area here, area to the left of Z0, area to left of Z0, let's see if you guess it right. Pause the video and think about it. Okay, so it will be 0.15. You know why the area to the left is 0.15? It's because both of the black areas together will be 30% or 0.3. So one of them is 0.15. So also, if you want to know, this one, the area here to the right of this z-score it will be also 0.15. So that when you add up all the areas, you get 1. You know that the area under the standard normal curve is 1. And so now that we know that you know the area to the left of Z0 is 0.15, this is the same exact thing as saying that the probability that Z less than Z0 is 0.15. So the question now becomes find Z0. So this is what we want to find, the Z0 here. So we know the area to the left, it's 0.15. So you go now to the Z table and find the area 0.15. So let's go now to the Z table and look carefully. You will find that it's, let me see. I see two values. I see this value here, 0.1492, and this value here, 0.1515. Our area, remember, it was 0.15. We can add 2 zeros just to see it as 4 digits. This is the area. Notice that it's between these two numbers, but it's much closer to the 0.1492. It's not in the middle of the two two areas. It's closer to 0.1492, and this is why we will forget about this one, and we will just take this area here. And so it's coming from where? It's coming from negative 1.0, and the second digit is 4. So this means that the z-score Z0 is negative 1.04. Now take this number and put it back here. So you can say that this implies that Z0, we just found it, it's negative 1.04. This is very important because you're almost done with the question. All what you need to do now is plug it in this formula to find x0, because this is x0. And so let's see, from here we get that x0, the minimum price that the person should sell computers, desktop computers for, is the one that corresponds to the z-score negative 1.04. So you do sigma z0 plus mu, and remember sigma we are given it's 695, and the z-score we just found that it's negative 1.04, plus mu is 2800. So just add it here. And so if you do this calculation on your calculator, you will get exactly 2077.2 dirhams, AED. And so this is our minimum price. Remember, what is this giving you? It's giving you the minimum price that the computer seller should sell the cheapest computer he has, so that he targets the middle 70% of buyers. Now, let's just assume that they asked you to also find the maximum price that he should sell with. So it will be asking you about this value. If you call it, let's call it x1. So think about how do you compute this x1. I will just give you a hint, but I'm not going to solve it for you. The hint, again, is that the area above its z-score is 0.15. So let's call its z-score Z1. If you call this z-score Z1, the z-score for x1, it will be, so this is the z-score for x1. So the area above it is 0.15. So it means the area below it is 0.85. And then you go in the table and find the 0.85. where the area is, and from it you get Z1, and from Z1 you get X1. But I'm going to leave this question for you to solve. Anyways, we are done already with the question that was asked, and I will stop this video here.